Hi, Bothered Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. Apparently, Susan Sarandon is trending because in the wake of all this terrible news about Roe v. Wade and the Supreme Court, a lot of people have gone into the Wayback Machine and found old tweets where, leftists or supposed leftists were attacking Hillary Rodham Clinton. And, Susan Sarandon was a big, vicious opponent of Hillary's. She supported Bernie Sanders. And then people, the evil Bernie bros, right, of we're going to write in Bernie, even though actually I'm pretty sure the data shows that in the wake of Bernie dropping out, far more of his supporters supported Clinton than Clinton supporters supported Obama back when that happened way back in the day. But I digress. So apparently everyone's mad at Susan Sarandon for the role she played in attacking Hillary, which led to the rise of Trump. And a lot of people are basically just kind of insinuating that she is somehow indirectly to blame for the current mess of all the different conservative justices being on the Supreme Court. Which, here's the subject of today's video. None of this makes any goddamn sense, and it just really shows how out of touch a lot of Democrats are, not just with their own party, but with absolute reality. Am I the only one who remembers that time that Democrats actually just voted very quickly to confirm a bunch of Trump justices so that they could all break for vacation? So, that's on them right there. Additionally, on top of that, right, you have this whole notion of, look at all the conservative justices that happened. Yeah, and there were people pointing out back during the Obama presidency of, hey, maybe you guys should fight a little harder to make sure that Merrick Garland gets in. But no, see, conservatives and Republicans were just being absolutely terrible. So, that should have been the sign that they had to fight a lot harder. And also, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, knowing that she was old, should have retired when the Democrats had their last best chance to do that. But she didn't, and other Democrats didn't push for that because fundamentally, as we've talked about numerous times on this channel already, they don't fucking care. The Democrats do not care about you. This also goes back to my several videos now talking about Joe Manchin and also Kirsten Sinema. They have basically been bought and paid for because guess what, folks? The Democrats are just the other side of the neoliberal ruling class coin that governs America. It's basically a single party state, just with the drapery to make it look like you have two parties. They have literally done studies on this at this point that shows that in terms of who actually, is listened to in American democracy, it is the ruling class and those who donate large sums of money to both parties rather than, say, your average struggling working class American. And all this kind of skirts around the current issue, right? The Democrats control everything. They control the White House, they control the upper house, and they control the lower house. The only thing they don't control is the Supreme Court. But apparently, shucks, things are just so hard and difficult for them to do. Meanwhile, if the Republicans had the same measure of control, if they had both the House of Representatives and the Senate and the White House, you can bet that they would have just done so many terrible things to advance their regressive agenda. Meanwhile, there's Joe Biden talking about, here's my plan. I'd really like to see it passed. But he doesn't fight for it. Bernie has been fighting harder for Biden's agenda than Biden has. Shucks, we've been foiled by the Senate parliamentarian. I know we could get around that, but, it's the spirit of the matter. Boy, these two Democrats that have been lobbied to hell and back by just ruling class interests, man, they're just really just two people bought and paid for by big business are just completely destroying American democracy. But, vote blue no matter who, right? Based on all this, I can really see how Susan Sarandon is to blame for Hillary's unlikability and not being the substantive candidate in terms of talking about what is relevant to your average American experience on the ground. It was totally Susan Sarandon and also Bernie Sanders' fault that they actually tapped into the very real undercurrent that was happening in America at that time, where people did not want another establishment politician for a great many good and also some terrible reasons. How dare they get people excited to vote only to again see the current aftermath? And I wonder why so many people are disaffected voters now. Look, if you supported Hillary Rodham Clinton and you didn't like Bernie Sanders and what some of Susan Sarandon was doing and saying, that's fine. But you cannot actually blame them for the many faults that the Democratic Party has. That is just absolutely unreal to me, that apparently Susan Sarandon is trending today because people are somehow trying to find a way to blame her for the current mess rather than the Democrats being terrible and just completely disinterested in doing anything marginally good or progressive for the very people that they rely on to function as a political party. They don't try and stop or prevent gerrymandering. They just confirm Trump judges because, oh, well, who wants to fight? Let's just go on vacation. We'll just put the media pieces out there saying, oh, you know, shucks, but the resistance isn't out. Don't count us out yet. By the way, please ignore the fact that we continue to do nothing to try and better people's lives. Oh, look, we're just so stymied by things like 2 Democrats and the Senate parliamentarian, and just, you know, man, it's just really hard to govern, okay? It is absolutely sad and pathetic. Not only that they're blaming Susan Sarandon and like arguably Bernie Sanders and everyone else on that aspect, it just really shows how sad and pathetic it is that they can't even look past their own noses and the dumpster fire that is their own party. And don't worry, for those wondering, oh, well, are you going to talk about the NDP? Oh yeah, we will, but that's in a future video. But I am just absolutely aghast at the current situation where people are blaming non-factors for the current situation. The Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. And the sooner that Democrats and Democratic voters recognize that and wake up to that fact, the sooner that the problem can start being addressed. Unfortunately, that's step number 1, right? You need to recognize that there is a problem in order to begin addressing that. And unfortunately, by the fact that Susan Sarandon is trending today, that shows that that is not even anywhere close to being on the radar of a lot of Democratic voters, which means this problem is not likely to be solved anytime soon, which should concern a lot of people. And the fact that people haven't realized this is definitely what's bothering me today.